Hello, AP Research teachers. You know, at the beginning of the school year, I'm often reminded of this quote because in AP Research, it feels like you're about to take kids on a 1,000-mile journey. And to consider 1,000 miles, that sounds like a lot of work. Well, it is, but done one step at a time, it becomes quite manageable. So I would suggest that our roles as AP research teachers is to kind of serve as the mountain climbing guides for our students. That they're going to climb that mountain over there, and from their perspective right here, miles and miles away, it looks like something that they cannot do. So what I'd like you to consider is I'd like you to consider what it's going to be like for your students when they're there at the top. Because most AP research students, my gosh, it's over 2/3 of AP research students score a level 3 or higher, meaning they met a benchmark of success, and close to 33 to 34% of students score at levels 4 and 5, showing a level of kind of academic excellence beyond just the 3. So to kind of get us in the framework of mind about how to get our students there, even though at the beginning of the year we're just looking very far away, I use this metaphor as a lead-in to what I suggest will be the most important document that you will create in your beginning of the year planning. So what I call this is my calendar of important deadlines. And you'll learn more about the essential components of the academic research paper, and you'll learn more about the oral defense of the research question and problem. But right now I want you to focus on what it would take to prepare a student to write what for many of them will be a 20-page formal research paper. So when you look at my calendar, this is my calendar. I do it every year. I do it during the summertime. I kind of use the previous year's experience as a way to kind of tweak what I've done before. What you see here is you see a list, and it's a pretty lengthy list here of assignments. Now, these are not the only assignments that we do, but I would tell you that these are some of the kind of benchmark assignments that are very important because each one kind of sets the foundation for the next step in the process. So rather than looking at it like this as a series of kind of to you disjointed assignments, I'd like to just put a framework on it with a highlighter. So I would suggest that maybe you start somewhere here. Our goal in our pacing guide here for the first 9 weeks is to make sure that you have a clear vision of where to take your students. Our first 9 weeks ends right around October 22nd. So you can see here that I've got 7 assignments that I seriously want to prepare my students to complete, that I want to collect on time. But these are the most important. There's a lot of little assignments along the way. So if you notice that my first real deadline here is September 11, which is almost 3.5 weeks into the school year. So those 3.5 weeks leading up to that, which you'll learn in my pacing guide, are a lot of the front-loading activities that are necessary for students to get here, that they can propose some research questions that they would like to investigate this year. So I'd like you to just look at some of my key kind of milestones along the way. I want students by the second week in October to be committed, to be engaged, to be married, so to speak, a strong commitment that there's one research question that they will dedicate their time to. So notice that between the beginning of year and October 12th, I've got to do a lot of activities to lead them to that point where they feel confident about that question. The College Board wants two things from you. They want students to turn in at the end of April. They want them to turn in their written reports and that you have a score for their oral defense. But other than this requirement, the College Board just asks you to have on file what we call the inquiry proposal, which is students' kind of formal declaration of what they intend to do the research on. And notice I have this due for the end of October. So then along the way, there are the different components of a research report. So there's an introduction with a review of the literature. There's a method section and a results section that cannot be written unless there's data collection. So I've got my data collection scheduled for the middle of December till the beginning of February. And after the results section there's a conclusion discussion section. There's the assembly of the whole paper. So what I want to get you teachers kind of fixed in your mind that you need to create a calendar with some very concrete benchmarks along the way so that you have a clear vision of how to get your students from here to the top of the mountain at the end of the 1,000-mile journey, and that your students will triumph in the end.